Welcome back to Inclusion Revolution here on Eastlink Television. We're very pleased that Christopher Bork is joining us to talk about where the men are. And again, as I said before break, this is not a dating show. This is more about why there aren't more men in social services. Chris has been kind enough to identify to us statistically across the country that really 75 to 80% of people in social services are in fact women. And our goal today is not to so much say where are the guys, but how can we engage men and what are we doing wrong not to bring more men in. Now, when we broke, Chris, we were talking about perception a lot, and the fact that the perception of sensitivity of men and the perception of also the financial gain of coming into this role has kept a lot of men out. Let me ask you what you believe, first of all, is the importance of having a better balance of men and women, and then perhaps we'll talk about how.
Yeah, absolutely. The importance of balance, and you touched on it just before the break, was that it gives a different perspective, whether it's from a man or a woman, whether it's from an African Canadian or an Aboriginal, anything at all, or a senior or somebody who's a little bit younger. It's different perspectives, and we're all very different people. And we all connect to different aspects, and I think that's where the importance is that we need to connect, because of the type of work we do with individuals, and the greater, the broader type of people that we have and interest, will do nothing but expand the profession and the progress that we see in clients.
Well, let me ask you about clients, because you run a program called Success 20,
yes,
which is a 20-day program to assist people who are living on social assistance to move into either education or employment. And I know you've had some extraordinary success on what is a 20-day program. My question to you is, are the clients mostly women, or are you seeing a mix, or are you seeing a lot of men, which would really affect, in my opinion, the importance of having male mentors and peers around? And I'm just curious, in your program Success 20, what have you seen?
In the program, it's very similar to the population. It's about 50-50. The makeup of each there's 4 clients at a time, so sometimes I'll have two women and 2 men. Sometimes I'll have 3 men and 1 woman, or 1 woman, or vice versa. So it's
pretty overall, evenly split.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we see a clientele that's evenly split. So it certainly compels us to want to see mentors and peers and role models and coordinators like yourself, who are both male and female. Also, for those reasons, it makes a lot of sense to sample your population in your peer and your mentoring. So I guess my question to you is, what do we as a community need to do to engage the male population, and where do we need to do it? Like, how early do we need to start? Because clearly I really believe that this is a little bit of social stigma.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
To stay away from social services. It doesn't have the money, or it's not for guys, or all of those things. I've heard it.
Yeah.
Or as you said before, you know, unless you're gay, it's probably not a guy thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's reality. That's perception.
Yeah,
and we like to break down social stigma and perception, especially when they're generalized. So help me bring the message forward to our listeners and the community across Canada. What do we need to do to get the guys more involved?
You brought up a nice question in terms of when do we start? And I think sooner is always better, and ultimately, hopefully, it starts at home. But in terms of social services, I think in terms of career days, or because they start quite young now, whether it's in junior high. So I think it's got to start there in terms of the profession promoting the possibility of social services as a viable career, and especially where we are now, for men as well. Because there are very few men. So
you talked about background. I just want to stop before I forget it, because you said something important. You know, a background is where it starts almost, because it starts at the beginning. Can you tell me a little bit about your background in terms of you being sort of a role model person within the social services? Did your parents, were they educators? Were they people who understood better the broader importance of social services?
Yeah, I come from a family of teachers. My father, and I'm the youngest of 3, and both my brother and sister are both teachers, along with many uncles and aunts and cousins. So my family.
And we're grateful to the whole Bork family. Thank you.
Yeah. And fine educator, I must say. But so I thought that going through university, I thought I might become a teacher, but I started to look at a little, and ask why I wanted to be. And a lot of it was because I had great role models, immediate role models in my family. But I wanted to look at a little bit more, they've always been involved in the community, so I wanted to be involved in the community. But I wanted something with a little bit more flexibility. I didn't want to be stuck in a classroom all day. I wanted some of that. So the field of social work, social services, allows for that very great amount of flexibility in terms of who you work with, the types of people, and really, and like we've talked about a number of times, the reachability is I want to work with the people that often don't get the opportunities that they deserve and that others do get. So the people that sometimes, like we might say, fall through the cracks. So I wanted an opportunity to work with that clientele.
So your background's a great example of how the whole nurture can bring that piece out. I mean, when your family's educators, who better to understand the importance of education? And education is much more than just being a teacher, absolutely. As we know. It's supporting your community. So maybe you and I need to talk about some of the things that we think our community needs to do to better engage. Obviously, it's great when they come from a family like yours of educators or people who understand and are really sensitive to the needs of social services. But not everyone comes from those parents and that family background. So we want to reach them early. You talked about that. Any ideas?
I think a lot of it, I take a lot of onus, and that's why I'm here today, is to promote the field to everybody, because we need a lot of workers in the social services, but more so to men as well. So I think we've got to start early, promote the profession as a viable option, because growing up I decided to enter this field, social services, very late. I was probably my third or fourth year, to be honest, at university, until I made a decision. A lot of that comes to I didn't know it was an option. There's one other social worker in my family, and that's about it. So I didn't realize it was a viable option. So if we could promote that to young students, like
you said, career days, getting into high schools and junior high schools, and having perhaps men coming out and talking about social services like you do, rather than just women, which often is what happens.
And there's a great program in Philadelphia right now. It's called Black Men from Penn, and they're African American social workers who are specifically targeting young African American men to enter the field of social services. So I think we have to target the population in general, but even more so as men going in and because
you're being that role model.
And I think there's a lot of people out there in the community right now that have the talents, the skills, and the understanding to enter social services, but might not even realize it, or it might not have been an option when they were going through school or making their career choices.
Right. I have to ask you this question, and I won't get a specific answer, but I have to ask about money, because there is a perception, and a lot of people will argue it's not just perception, but there is a perception about the pay. Now, as someone who, for instance, just left the school of social work and had some different options to go to, and you chose to go into nonprofit and disability services, I have to ask you, of the friends you have who are just out of school, perhaps of the same age, are you far behind in the financial side of it? Are you lagging brutally behind as a result, or are you finding that there are opportunities to make the living that you feel you could make, whether you were in social services or perhaps something else? I'm not suggesting maybe a lawyer, because those guys charge a lot. But and no offense to my friends, the lawyers, but you charge a lot.
In terms of, if I look at my peers and my friends, and I'm no far back, if anything, I might be a little ahead because I was able to enter the field so quickly. One of that is because there's so many needed employees in the field of social services, and I think also, but a lot of it because we need men in the field as well. So I think that played to my advantage there. So I got into the field extremely quickly. And to be quite honest, I had a contract before my school even finished. My schooling even finished.
And you definitely attribute that to being one of the few males in your field in an environment, because I believe the office you went into at the time had no males.
Yeah, correct.
You were the first. And very welcomed, I'm sure.
Yeah, and very welcomed. And I think that's also a fear too of men is, am I going to go in there? Am I going to be
in the girls' club?
The girls' club. Am I going to be the token man around the office? So there's a bit of joking around about that too, but we have a good time. And like I said when we started, it's been nothing but positive and nothing but accepting.
Well, I'm really grateful to hear that from you, Chris. And I wish we had more time to talk about it. But our time is running out. And what I did want to do was, before we bring on our friend Paul to do our news for the day as well as our poll of the week, I want to take this opportunity to thank Chris Bourque, who is in no relation to the hockey player. I had to ask. No, disappointing.
Still looking though.
Still looking though. But Chris Bourque, who runs the Success 20 program at Reachability, check him out, reachability.org. And you can find out more about social services and our discussion today on the inclusionrevolution.com website. And we'll be right back after this break with Paul and some news.